try and look pretty. So here we are in the hotel with, I nearly said Kevin De Bruyne, it's actually Jeffrey De Bruyne, who was one of the founders and contributors to the FEYENOORD fanzine, subtly known as Lunatic News, which I think perhaps kind of sums up a lot of people's outside view of FEYENOORD. Anyway, last night, how did you enjoy the city, the stadium, the game?
Ibrox is always electric because the atmosphere last night was, especially the first half, was really electric. I've been a couple of times to Ibrox, and what I saw last night, because I was also here 17 years ago, but the atmosphere, especially the first half, was amazing. I was shocked that they still can do it over here. So that's why the final stand first half was also, I think, what the fuck is happening here?
Obviously Rangers have got quite a kind of deep history with the, especially the Advocate years with all the Dutch players we had, and I mean it's amazing that the Dutch players we have had still retain such an affection for the club, and you know there's I mean every year there's a couple of functions where you know Moles or Newman or even Conterman are come over here. In terms of back home in Holland, how was the kind of death of Fernando Ricksen received?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a sad story, of course, and he don't have any background with Feyenoord, but you see the respect yesterday from Feyenoord to Fernando Ricksen and the Rangers, especially when the 1 minute silence. It was really impressive, I think, because you saw it also stadium with all the scarves and the flags and
the orange shirts.
Yeah, orange shirts also last night I see a lot. But you saw the day before the match when our head coach Japson give flowers, I think, and our captain also was there, and Steven Berghuis was also there. So I think it's really impressed how the death of Fernando Ricksen bring both teams actually together.
Is that the traditions in Holland? Do you normally have a minute's applause or a minute's silence?
Depends. Sometimes we have minutes of silence, but also some applause. It really depends what happened with the person. But normally it's always 1 minute silence. Normally.
So to the game last night, having watched Feyenoord a fair bit in the last couple of months, well, I'll let you say, how did you think your team performed last night? Was that the best of Feyenoord?
I think it's one of our... The season is still young and fresh, but it was one of the worst matches I see Feyenoord this season. And they can play so much better, but I think they were impressed about the atmosphere on Ibrox. And definitely, especially the first half. The second half was a bit better, but the first half was not good. And they were very lucky. It was only 1-0 at half time. It could also be 3-0, 3 or 4-0 to the Rangers easily.
A couple of the who if you were asked to name a couple of players that you think they're the stars for Feyenoord just now, who would you choose?
Yeah, the stars. Actually, Steven Berghuis is actually our key player, but you saw it yesterday. He was also not good enough yesterday. Steven Berghuis is really one of our key players, and we have a couple of youngsters. We have a good midfielder with Leroy Fer, Renato Tapia. So there's potential, absolutely, but yesterday it was actually rubbish, not good enough. So if you want to have any points in this group, you have to perform much better.
Over recent years, there have been a few nightmarish seasons for Feyenoord. In terms of Stam being in charge, do fans feel there's been a real improvement?
I think in mentality there's a real improvement, yeah. I'm not really a fan about it because that's also because of his history. He played for Ajax, so...
Still a problem?
It's always a problem. Not for many guys, but for me still, he has a worse background, so I think he's a very good manager. But you're only a good manager if you have a good squad. And the squads become better now, but like European, it's not good enough.
What about our old hero, Gio van Bronckhorst? What's the fans' view on Gio?
Yeah, what he did was amazing. What he did with 4 years in charge, 5 prizes. It was amazing. But I was not, as a coach, I was not a fan about him because he was playing too defense. was, yeah, he didn't play. He didn't make any players better in the 4 years he was in charge, and football was like yesterday. Many times so bad, so worse. But you only have to respect because he's one of our young kids from the club. He came when he was 10 years old to the club, and he's for always Feyenoord. Feyenoord is in his heart, and Giovanni Verhoeven is always in our heart. So
In terms of the young Feyenoorders, you went through a period when you virtually had no homegrown players. I think Leonardo actually was at one time the only first team player who was a Rotterdamer or who come through the system. How has that changed in recent years?
yeah, change a lot because there's no money. So what you do, give the youngsters a chance in the first squad. But this season we buy a couple of players, so a few youngsters sent out to loan, so to other small clubs in the second division actually. So there's a few youngsters who can perform very well, but nowadays, especially with European matches, because last night we had Goran Kucu, one of our midfielders. He was substitute, I think, in the second half. He really got potential like Berghuis. He can do very good, but give him a chance the whole season, then you can see how good he really is.
In terms of the draw with Feyenoord, Rangers, Porto and Bern, what was the reaction to the draw amongst the
Yeah,
fans?
amazing draw, because Rangers away is a massive trip. Porto is nice, Bruin is also nice, but Bruin is so expensive. There's no hotel available anymore, and prices go up to 200-300 euros for one night. So that's going to be a problem. I think
So you might be sleeping in the railway station.
I might. I might be sleeping somewhere else. Yeah, no, but I think Bern will. Most of the final fans going. I think 4,000 or 5,000 easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I was a bit ashamed how less people came here. Comparing to 2002, I think there were almost about 4,000, and now we only sell out 1,600 tickets of the 207,000 we get. So, but it was very difficult with flights. People have to take leave. So,
How did you find the? Obviously, you mentioned the atmosphere. You enjoyed the atmosphere to start with. The culture of football in Rotterdam. I mean, I remember I went to I can't remember if it was 2000 or 2001 when we beat Dortmund in the final of the UEFA Cup as it then was. And I've said to people, I found that the Kuip, known as the tub, it was an amazing atmosphere that night. And at the start of the game, when the home fans were singing the Feyenoord anthem, I could actually feel the pressure waves on my chest. And I've been over quite a few times since then. And to be honest, I've always enjoyed the Feyenoord atmosphere, and the Feyenoord fans have been very welcoming. What kind of city, what kind of football and culture do you have in Rotterdam for people that are visiting?
football culture. Yeah, just come for the atmosphere, especially when European matches. The atmosphere is electric. Like I think the same like last night at Ibrox. You have to see it, then you understand it. But with normal home matches on Sunday, the atmosphere is okay, that's normal. Don't expect too much of it. But when you go into home matches of Rangers, Porto, Bern, Young Boys, you will see it and then you will understand it. So actually a few English friends, they're living in Leeds. They're coming over for the Young Boys game, and a few guys coming over for the Rangers game. So they just want to see it, what a European home match of Feyenoord really is. They will see it. I think you will also will find out how amazing it can be.
In terms of the city itself, was this kind of cliche of Rotterdam being very industrial and it's the port city, and that place that you probably don't want us to mention being the party city, and The Hague being the place where they spend all the money that's been made in Rotterdam. For people who are visiting the city for the first time, do you think they'll be surprised by what a modern city is?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think they were surprised because what you already saying, think in the industrial city with the harbor, it's not like that anymore. A lot of things change because a lot of people used to go to that other city. I'm not gonna mention, but people understand what, why. Normally, nowadays people coming over to Rotterdam for sightseeing. About 5 to 10 years ago, it was unthinkable. People come to Rotterdam to do sightseeing. But
So
nowadays
so
it's
there are-
very popular.
So it's turning into quite a party city for visitors.
Yeah, it is absolutely. Yeah.
And in terms of the fan culture, I mean, what I've found when I've been there is, in some ways, it's like going back to how Britain used to be in the 70s and maybe even in the early 80s. What we have in Scotland is a very sanitised football culture because you haven't been allowed to have a drink or get into the ground drunk for over for about 40 years now. I've always enjoyed myself in Holland, but there is an edge to it, so you just got to be a little bit careful not to go to the wrong end at the wrong time.
You have to be careful, especially for British. Like if he's coming to FEYENOORD, you just have to be careful. Don't walk in small groups. That's my advice.
Follow the directions of the police.
Yeah,
basically.
what the police say, just follow it. Don't think, nothing will happen, because it can always happen.
But in terms of the getting to the Kuip, it's fairly easy. It's on the main tram route.
Yeah, there's a tram route from the central station. We have special trams on match days, so it's very easy to find your way.
So in terms of that special atmosphere, as I say, I've been to more than a few games at the Kuip over the years. Do you expect to have a different game?
Comparing to last night, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, it's gonna be definitely another match, and I know for sure the atmosphere will be electric because we're playing against a British team, and British teams FEYENOORD is always clashing. The atmosphere will be amazing. That I know, but hopefully we're still on the second or third place in the group because when we don't have any points in November, then the atmosphere maybe will be different. Hopefully, when there's FEYENOORD have to win, for example, or Reds have to win, then the atmosphere will be amazing.
From how FEYENOORD have been playing this year and what you saw at Ibrox last night, do you think it'll be, shall we say, a very British game?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's going to be a real British match. Hopefully, a better final than last night, because this was one of the worst matches of the season.
So finally, one of the most important things for football fans, what's the best beer to try in Rotterdam?
The best beer to try? We have a load of beers. Yeah, what the best beer is? Just
There must be one speciality.
normally Hertog Jan. Hertog Jan is one of the most popular beers nowadays, especially with football matches, where a lot of guys always going. You just can have a beer in a bottle, and that's Hertog Jan. It's cheap, so there's more alcohol in the beer than here. So.
So listen, thanks for giving us your time this morning, and you're heading home now. So hope to meet you in Rotterdam.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
And we'll do a wee preview before then as well.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
All the best.
All the best.
Good.